Thank you all. It's great to be back. Got a couple housekeeping matters to take care of first, and then we're going to talk for a little bit about a message that I have for my fellow flying L's. First, is there a gentleman named Zach Zimmerman here? Could you stand up for me, Zach? How are you today? Zach, I'd like to take a selfie with you as you go by the stage. From Zeman to Zimmerman, we're always last, but we're first in everybody's hearts. Okay, Zach? Let's do that. And I'd like to thank my wife, Andrea, and a couple flying L's from the class of 2030, my twins, Wesley and lovely Jane, and the class of 2032, Lily Zeman. Thank you guys for coming. I'm sorry for taking up some of your time for personal things, but with their schedule, they rarely get to make any of our live events. So, and thank you, Ms. Brown, and thank you everybody for today's thing. I don't want to be Dr. Zeman's school board member for the next few minutes. I've done that at all the other graduations, and there's 28 in Broward County, in case anybody's keeping track. But this is my high school. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to talk to you as a flying L, one who was in these seats just a few years ago. You got your calculator out? It was 1981. 40, I know. He looks pretty good for an old guy, right? But I want to tell you a personal story about this school year, which is your senior year. Around the time you reported for the first day of school, I had this crazy idea that I would offer to Broward County to serve on the school board. Against the advice of all of my friends and colleagues, I ran, I won, and in fact, in great flying L style, I got more votes than any other winning candidate from my party in the state of Florida. Work was going well, my family was healthy, I won the only election I will ever run in my life, and I planned for another awesome year. I was sworn in at my high school auditorium, at your high school auditorium. My dad was standing next to me. My family and close friends were there. He worked for Broward County Schools for his entire career, and I knew he was proud of me, and I had learned so much from him. But I've learned that the ability for people to make plans is proof that God has a sense of humor. Let's just say that this year didn't turn out the way I thought it would. Just so you know, this story has a happy ending. On the 25th of January, I was driving my father to his first Parkinson's appointment to learn how much damage had been done to him. It was my mother's 79th birthday. In the middle of all that, I got a call from my oldest son, Ben. He said he had some difficult news to share about my 30-year-old daughter, Elise, and he got right to the point. He said, "Dad, Elise has been in a bad accident a few minutes ago, and they don't know if she's going to make it." That's a parent's worst nightmare, as you know. And for parents in this room, it feels a lot worse than you can ever imagine. Elise had no pulse and had stopped breathing. They had to fly her to the hospital in a helicopter, and Ben told me a few more details, but my mind was already on how I could get to the airport and get to Houston. 4 hours after her accident, I was there. I met Dr. Choi, the neurologist, at the front door of the hospital, and he said, "We're doing all that we can, but you need to be prepared for the worst." Hers is one of the worst traumatic brain injuries I've ever seen, and injuries like that cause people never to wake up. Not exactly what we were hoping for. And my brain processed all this and took me right back to Iraq from 18 years ago, the year many of you were born, dealing firsthand with the horrors of war. But this scene didn't make sense to me. There were no rockets. There were no military uniforms in the hospital, but there I was, dealing with another traumatic brain injury, this one cutting like no others. Just like the hundreds that I witnessed in Iraq, this time, however, this was my loving, caring daughter. For those that haven't been close and observant of traumatic brain injuries, they're awful things. In my daughter's case, the top half of her brain separated from the bottom half of her brain, and no one knew how it would land back. Elise is doing great today. Against all odds, yep, I know. Against all of Dr. Choi's and a host of other neurologists' odds, she made it through the first few days, spent 2 weeks in a coma, another month in the intensive care unit, but she just completed an intensive rehab program where she really learned how to talk again, to walk again, and she's now returning gradually back to her mission-driven work. Elise is making progress every day, and nobody really knows why she was the lucky one. The accident in our family and all those who knew were changed. Hundreds of people have been touched by this experience. Out of near death came better lives with more connection, more compassion, more understanding, more love for just waking up on the right side of grass. I wanted to share this with you today because I think it invites some good questions for you, the class of 2023, to consider. Where is there light in the darkness? How are you stronger and more resilient because of the obstacles you have faced? And at some level, if we all commit to acting with more love than fear, what would the net benefit be for our entire community? I've always been close to my children, my whole family, to my parents. I love them all so much. But now we end every conversation with, "I love you." And we hug like it might be the last time. At the end of the day, we're closer than ever, and we realize that we've been lazy before the accident. We took our blessings for granted. Our family slogan is Zeman's never quit, and we were all striving to achieve so we could live out the family legacy. And we're still striving, but for different things, for more time, more vacations together, more service to others, more talking and more connecting, and our family and all of our friends are far richer than ever. Richer in love, in gratitude, and in peace. It's my hope that others might consider making a change without having to go through this kind of crisis. Some of you have experienced that loss already in your young lives, and some have not. So I want to lend Elise's story to you all. For those who haven't lost a one recently or experienced other trauma, imagine her as your sister or your aunt or your close friend. She almost left us for good, and I'll tell you what the near tragedy we went through this year taught us, some powerful lessons that made us to act in a better way. So for class of 2023, borrow Elise's story when you need that extra bounce in your step, that ability to find peace instead of conflict, that compassion for others, and most importantly, for the love of yourself. There are many Elises out there. This class has one of its own. And I ask you all, after grieving and expressions of compassion, to lean into the pain. Keep the idea present in your life as often as you can, for that feeling has served us well. In the end, we are not alone in our troubles, and we are not alone in our glories. We are one big connected family, and we're far stronger together than we ever can be apart. Call or text your Elise. Tell her that you love her. Instead of fear or lashing out in anger, choose gratitude as often as you can. And to all who are assembled here, know that in spite of all the negative news and false narratives, this class of 2023 is better than the class of 1981. To you, know that I am impressed, and I have very high standards. Am I right? You are the makers of change. You are the assessors of character. You dream big dreams, and then you set out to achieve them, and you express your gratitude with incredible grace. I look forward to shaking your hand as you come across this stage today. I look forward to reading and hearing about your successes in the future. And when you need it, borrow the story of Elise. Think about what really matters in your life. And as often as is possible, show others your amazing strength. Thank you all very much.